Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen in this afternoon for Nicole Gitske. The smoke is still blanketing Kern County this afternoon, and that air quality alert is in effect across much of the state. Yesterday, you could see ash actually falling from falling on cars and people outside. The air quality alert is going to be in effect until next Tuesday. People are being warned to stay indoors unless they have to be outside. If you do, a mask would be a big help. Most of the state is dealing with these smoky conditions, and in the midst of a pandemic, doctors urge extra caution. This morning on 17 News at Sunrise, Dr. Pramil Vagasia, a pulmonologist with Mercy Hospitals, says he thinks that there are several groups of people who need to be extra cautious.
In certain populations, they're definitely at a high risk of developing serious lung conditions and serious issues, especially with the pandemic, chronic COPD, asthma, chronic cardiovascular conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes. These persons are definitely at high risk of having significant complications with or being infected with coronavirus itself, as well as with the air quality, having significant problems, with their lungs.
And in an effort to help reduce pollution due to the poor air quality, KGET Bus is offering free rides for Bakersfield residents today. The company announced all KGET fixed routes and Get a Lift rides, which take riders to specific locations around town, are included in the free offer. KGET says the offer lasts all day today. All right, and here's a look at what's causing all of that smoke. 18 new fires broke out just since yesterday across our state. One of the largest, the LNU Lightning Complex wildfire, burning in 5 counties in Northern California. The complex fires actually several blazes, which started by lightning. Altogether, they've grown to 219,000 acres. So far, 480 structures have been destroyed and 4 people have died. 3 were found in a home in Napa County, and a PG&E trouble man was killed while helping fire crews. Some progress is being made fighting these fires. CAL FIRE reports that they have 7% containment. And the CZU Lightning Complex fire, another big one, this one burning in Santa Cruz and San Mateo counties, started Monday and has grown to 50,000 acres. 48,000 people have been evacuated from the path of this fire. 3 firefighters were hurt but are expected to be okay. The fire is currently 0% contained. And the Lake Fire burning to our south, just about 75 miles from Bakersfield, is 52% contained. It's grown to more than 28,000 acres. 21 structures have also burned. Officials say the fire is burning in the areas that are hard to reach in the Angeles National Forest, making it tough to fight. This is just one of the many fires across the state that local fire crews are assisting with. Also making news across the state this afternoon, the man known as the Golden State Killer has been sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Serial killer and former California police officer Joseph D'Angelo pleaded guilty in June to 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping with robbery that occurred in the 1970s and 80s. Family members of murder victims confronted him in court this week to give victim impact statements. And we have new information about what led up to a deadly officer-involved shooting at the Tony's Firehouse Grill and Pizza on Highway 178 last night. Kern County Sheriff's Office says the man, whose identity has not been released, was killed outside Tony's by an off-duty deputy. KCSO says a gun was recovered at the scene, but it did not belong to the deputy. The office says the man killed was involved in a theft, but did not elaborate. The deputy and restaurant goers were not hurt. The Kern County Sheriff's Office says it's taken over the investigation from BPD because it involves KCSO personnel. The deputy has been placed on routine paid administrative leave as part of that investigation. Turning now to the coronavirus pandemic in Kern, the Kern County Public Health Services Department reported 9 new COVID-19 deaths and 280 cases this morning. These bring the county's total to 27,668 cases and 238 deaths. The department's reporting 9,563 people, 36 people have recovered from the virus. 16,363 are isolated at home, and 234 are being treated in the hospital. Public Health Director Matt Constantine said yesterday he does not expect Kern County to get off the state's watch list anytime soon. He says Kern's not meeting several metrics set by the state. Kern's COVID positivity rate for those tested over a 7-day period is over 20%. The state's asking for it to be 8% or below. The case rate per 100,000 people stands at 307. The state wants that number below 100. And finally, the county must have more than 20% of its ICU bed capacity available. Constantine says that number has fluctuated across the county. 17 News is your local election headquarters. We are 73 days away from Election Day. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris make it official and make history. In a convention unlike any other, the former vice president and his would-be vice president accepted their party's nominations, promising a new vision for America. NBC's Susan McGinnis has a wrap-up.
Oh, say, can you see? With the nation's first ever virtual convention now in the history books, Democrats Joe Biden and Kamala Harris hit the virtual campaign trail after laying out their vision for America.
This is our moment. This is our mission.
At a convention constrained by a pandemic, pomp and circumstance, crowds and balloons replaced with videos, virtual speeches, and remote appearances.
Together with Joe and Kamala in the White House,
Biden promising to battle systemic racism and climate change, but paying special attention to the battered economy and the coronavirus.
We'll never have our lives back until we deal with this virus. The tragedy of where we are today is it didn't have to be this bad.
Biden also hitting an emotional tone, connecting with those who have suffered loss.
I have some idea how it feels to lose someone you love.
That was Joe Biden. That was not a speechwriter. That was no one putting words in his mouth. Those words came from his heart and his soul.
The new nominee did not mention President Trump by name, but laid out the case for replacing him.
Character is on the ballot. Compassion is on the ballot. Decency, science, democracy, they're all on the ballot.
President Trump trying to steal the spotlight all week, attacking Biden on Thursday.
He spent the last half century in Washington selling out our country.
With the Democratic ticket set, the race is on, with just 74 days left as Republicans get ready to make their case for re-electing Donald Trump next week. The Biden-Harris team reports it set an online fundraising record this week, money they will need to get their message out in this one-of-a-kind election. In Washington, Susan McGinnis, NBC News.
Well, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy has testified before the Senate Governmental Affairs Committee in a virtual hearing today. DeJoy told committee members that changes need to be made at the Postal Service for it to survive in the years to come, but he did assure that they're capable and ready to deliver mail on time and securely ahead of the presidential election. DeJoy also said he's never spoken with President Trump about the Postal Service, besides being congratulated when he started the job. And when asked if he would bring back any of the sorting machines that have been removed, DeJoy said there's no intention to do that because they are, quote, not needed. Actress Lori Loughlin and her husband were sentenced this morning in the college admissions scandal. The actress will receive 2 months in prison and her husband 5. The sentencing follows agreed-upon terms that after the couple pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges in May. All right, welcome back. The smoky haze remains. When will it go away, Kev?
Well, we're going to have to watch the winds. We're really having to watch when these fires are under control because the fires are burning all around us, and so all that smoke just kind of filters on into the bowl, which is the valley. So the air quality alert continues. It's looking a little nasty out there. Right now, the air quality warning in place until 5 p.m. tomorrow. So that's something we'll be watching carefully, see if it extends. It was into next week. As we take a look at the temperature right now, 87 degrees, a west wind at 5 miles per hour. And as we we take a look at other temperatures, we're running into the 80s in most locations in the valley except Bakersfield, actually Arvin at 90, and then into the mountains, 80s and 90s. Tehachapi at 91, Lake Isabel at 91 as well. So the mountains warming up a little bit because the smoke layer is not as thick. A few clouds off the coast, but that is about it. And temperatures today, 102 in Fresno, a little bit cooler there, 112 in Vegas, and down in Phoenix, a little bit cooler, 104. So Vegas is going to be the hot spot. As we take a look at the overall headlines today, the good news with the smoke, there is some good news. The heat wave ended yesterday with a high of 97. Smoke will continue around Kern County, so if you have those masks, wear them if you're going to be outdoors because of the particulate matter. And then the tropical moisture, as I mentioned, we will be tracking into the early part of next week. Air quality has slipped. Yesterday I said we were 1 point from air quality being unhealthy, and boy, we're there. Unhealthy at 153 today, our pollen at 7.7, and our UV index at 10.2. Here's a look at the highs for today. Again, it's going to fluctuate all because of the smoke. We're looking at 100 in Bakersfield, McFarland today, 98 in Taft, a wind just out of the northwest 5 to 10. Now for the mountains, we'll look for the smoky skies, 91 in Tehachapi. We're there now, so we may be a degree or two warmer than the forecast here. 90 in Frazier Park, 101 for Lake Isabella, and then out in the desert, we'll look for a wind today out of the west 10 to 20, 105 in Mojave, and then Ridgecrest still hot right near 110. Here's a look at that extended forecast for you. And tomorrow, 101, 102 on Sunday, and then hopefully next week, Wednesday will be right near 99. I'm going to keep the smoke and haze around the next 7 days. That could change. Again, it all depends on these fires. And then for the mountains, we'll be in the 90s through Monday, upper 80s Tuesday, Wednesday, keeping that haze around for you as well. Overnight in the 60s. And the one thing to note here, I don't have any thunderstorms in the forecast just yet, but we'll be watching that moisture carefully. And then for the Kern River Valley, triple digits through Monday, and then upper 90s Tuesday and Wednesday. So really the big headline, not so much the temperatures anymore, but this smoke.
All right, thanks so much, Kev. Yep. Kern County's unemployment rate decreased to 16.5% in July, a drop of 1% from June. That number is still far above the 8.5% unemployment rate from a year ago, according to the Employment Development Department. The state saw an unemployment rate of 13.7% for July, and national numbers put unemployment at 10.5% across the country. Sales of existing homes and the median price paid soared in July. Sales jumped nearly 25% last month, according to the National Association of Realtors. That's the strongest monthly gain in the history of the survey. Meantime, the supply of existing homes for sale plummeted more than 20%. That drove the median price of homes sold up 8.5% to just over $300,000, truly making it a seller's market. Airbnb is banning house parties worldwide. The San Francisco home sharing company says it will limit occupancy in its rental properties to 16 people. Airbnb says it may pursue legal action against guests and hosts who violate the ban. Airbnb has always prohibited unauthorized parties, and nearly 75% of its listings explicitly ban parties. But after a deadly shooting at a California Airbnb rental last Halloween, the company has taken multiple steps to crack down. 5 people were killed in that shooting, which happened during an unauthorized party.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to KGET.com.